The Twins have started selling. Details on their first big trade for the deadline, plus a look ahead of the Bison defense as fall camp opens tomorrow. Hot Mike starts now.
Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mike. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning. Welcome to the I Told You So edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV, good morning in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City in western South Dakota, and Inforum.com. Happy Tuesday, everybody. The next to the last day of July 2025. Ready to rock and roll. Glad you're joining us on this Tuesday morning. Looks like the humidity's gone, and we replace it with some smoke, which is going to be the case. That looked like for, according to that article, it was in the forum over the weekend that it's not going anywhere till September. It's awesome. Great. I don't know what's worse, having the humidity and the heat or the grossness of the smoke. I think that's probably a toss-up there. But we'll deal what we got to do. Welcome to the show, everyone, on this Tuesday. We got a lot to get to today. It is the day before the day. Fall camp opens tomorrow in Fargo for the Bison, for the reigning national champs. We'll be out there tomorrow with full coverage for our newscasts. We'll look ahead to that today on the show with a look at the Bison defense that set up for 2025. That's coming up later on in our program this morning. We'll also hit a couple other things, including a look back for a certain section of fans. Again, the passing last week, Ozzy Osbourne passing away, Hulk Hogan dying last week, and then add in Ryan Sandberg passing away yesterday. It's just another, for me, for how old I am, that's another deep cut for a guy that I watched growing up again before cable and before every baseball game was on. I'll save this for our next segment. Just another huge pillar of sports when I was a kid that is gone. Just another reminder of mortality when you see something like that yesterday, which we'll get into in a little while. We've reached the part of the year as well where every single training camp is analyzed and play, which means we're just getting closer to, can we actually play games, which our first game is coming up on Thursday in Canton with a Hall of Fame game, and then a week from now with the actual unveiling of the first games of preseason football. So we're on the doorstep of that. I mentioned off the top that the I Told You So edition, not that it's going to slam dunk anything that the Twins are selling, because that's not breaking news, but the one thing they did do yesterday in the trading of Chris Paddock is they didn't wait. They made a move, not at 4:35 on Thursday, which they have been wont to do in the past, is wait. If you have it, make the deal. Wouldn't be surprised if there are more coming over the next couple days. We'll detail that in a second. Now, yesterday I spent the whole first segment on that we were done with the Twins, which we are. We're going to show games when are relevant. Last night was such that how they won the game demanded that we show the highlights of what went down last night. And full disclosure, I did not turn the game back on after it stopped because of rain. Once it started and was going to the bottom of the ninth inning last night at Target Field, I was donezo with it. They didn't really give me a whole lot of reason to tune in. They got started off great. Deshaun Kersey Jr. hits a opposite field 2-run home run. Got the Twins off to a 2-0 lead through 3 innings. It all changed on one swing from Alex Bregman. Simeon with Richardson got the start last night. 4 2/3, allowed 3 runs. This was all 3 of them to Bregman. That's to the deepest part of the park. 418 feet for the former Astro makes it a 3-2 Boston lead. The Twins would tie it on this Christian Vasquez sac fly in the bottom of the 6th inning. So we're knotted up at 3, knowing full well there's weather coming. Top of the 9th here. Red Sox start making some plays on the base pass here. Roman Anthony, who's their big prospect they called up last month, delivers with a base hit. That'll score the go-ahead run to make it a 4-3 Boston lead in the top of the 9th inning. And then Mother Nature happened. The rain came, and it hard. That hard. It delayed the game for 90 minutes, so they resumed at about 11 o'clock last night. And then things went nuts. Jordan Hicks comes in to pitch for Boston, and he can't locate anything. He hits 2 guys in a row, loading the bases here. Mickey Gasper gets hit. Willie Castro gets hit by a pitch. So now Correa's up with the bases loaded. Grounds into a fielder's choice. Nice play by Bregman to get the out at home. So the bases remain loaded. Brooks Lee at the plate. He goes the opposite way. That's down for a hit. 2 runs will come in to score, and the Twins walk off the Red Sox 5-4 the final. Lee with his 3rd walk-off hit of the season. Celebrating again like they won Game 7 of the World Series. They are now 4 full games under 500. Lee gets the game-winning hit. And just a bizarre 9th inning where it's got to be tough. I'm not going to make excuses here. I'll just say they sat around for 90 minutes to play the bottom of the 9th inning. Hicks comes in, has no control, hits a couple of guys, and before you know it, the game's over as Minnesota wins the opening game of that set. Game 2 comes up tonight from Target Field, 6:30 for the first pitch tonight. Lucas Giolito is going for Boston. The Hooded Warrior will pitch for the Twins tonight. We've heard there's a couple of rumors here that they're going to bring up a guy from class that started in Class A ball. Pierce Oln, as we've been told, is going to be the guy tonight for Minnesota to start the second game of this series. The games on the field now are of little consequence. And I say that knowing it's July 29th, and we've seen the Twins did it. 2017, they sold and then got incredibly hot over the final month and a half and got the wild card spot, lost to the Yankees in that 1-game deal at Yankee Stadium. It does not have the feel of that in 2025. And that started yesterday about 3 o'clock. News came out that the Twins were trading Chris Paddock and Randy Dobnak to the Tigers, and the Twins get a catching prospect, which we'll never know if he actually makes it to the majors in a couple of years in return. Paddock's time has been star-crossed, and I had to look this up yesterday after the official trade went down, because Paddock had moments, certainly knowing he's a free agent this year, that he had times where he couldn't locate a pitch and other times where he was great. In fact, last week, and we talked about this with Corey Provis on the show last week, that he was great against the Dodgers and may have helped himself out in terms of what he did. Now he's off to Detroit, and it's a deal that Dobnak's a complete salary dump. Again, well, we're going to have to go back in the archives for years to determine why the Twins paid Dobnak what they did off of one pretty good year, even though he was fizzling at the end of 2019. He couldn't stay healthy after that. The trade is such, Enrique Jimenez, who's 19 years old, will come to the Twins. He's a catching prospect from Detroit. The Twins made a deal in the division. That alone is, I guess, eye-raising, maybe the best place to say it. The Twins will save about $3.5 million from the trade, according to the Star Tribune. They have 5 more players who can reach free agency at the end of the season: Castro, Bader, Danny Colum, Vasquez, and Ty France. Evidently, the Twins only have a couple of pitching or catching prospects, and none of them are above high A ball currently. So that's the deal. Now let's go back in time to right before the 2022 season. That was the year we had the lockout, which, by the way, we're going to do that again after next season, so prepare for that. That we had no baseball activity from November through March, and they finally got a deal done, and we started the season a week and a half late. And right before the season began, the Twins made a trade. They traded reliever Taylor Rogers, who was an all-star, and Brent Rooker, who couldn't get to the majors because they were log-jammed with outfielders, to the Padres for Chris Paddock and Emilio Pagan. Now, the Twins have made some doozies over the years. This one is not aged well. And I said it last night. It wasn't a good trade then, and it's not a good trade now. Rooker's an all-star. Say whatever you want about what the Twins' outfield situation was, that Wallner was coming up, that Kirilloff was there, and Larnach was there. Buxton, they had a glut of outfielders, right? But still, I mean, hindsight is what it is. Kirilloff's out of the game. He's retired. Larnach seems like he's plateaued. Wallner can't hit right now. Buxton's finally stayed healthy, even though he's out right now. That trade did not look good. Pagan was awful. I don't care what anybody says. Pagan was terrible for the Twins. And Paddock missed the entire 2022 season. He started, 3 or 4 games, got hurt, had Tommy John surgery, and we didn't see him again till the end of 23. Remember? And the Twins fell in love because he came in late inning guy in that late September and then the postseason against Toronto and Houston and was throwing 95. And they said, we're going to roll with this guy in 2024. And how'd that work out? He wasn't very good last year, and he wasn't much better in spots in 2025. Before that season ended in 2022, Paddock signed a 3-year, $12.5 million contract extension. Whew. Man, just no wonder the players are going to don't want to go any salary cap. They get baseball just amazing. 4 seasons with the Twins, 10-14 record, 4.88 earned run average in 226 innings. It made a team-high 21 starts this year. Paddock is making $7.5 million this season in the final year of his deal. Dobnak, talk about stealing, is owed $3 million this year in the final guaranteed season of a 5-year contract he signed in 2021. Oh, my gosh. 1-7 record and an ERA over 7 in 17 outings for St. Paul. That's in AAA. About a third of each of the salary now be paid by the Tigers. Stealing, folks. You can do that with any sport about trades and holy cow, how that one aged terribly. You go back and watch it. When that trade went down in 2022, I was not a fan of that one. Taylor Rogers was, again, no, the Twins were going to move on from, I think, the year previous because he had a finger injury then and they couldn't trade him. The Rooker deal is just terrible. Rooker now is an all-star 2 times over, maybe 3 times over with Oakland. I'll still say Oakland. He was great at the All-Star game, fantastic at the dirt. He's a good player. And considering what the Twins have in their corner outfield spots, you take Brent Rooker right now. That's not a good deal as it looks back on it. So that's the first. Paddock is gone. You cross him off. There's 5 other guys that could potentially go. And with the news yesterday of a couple other closers either being hurt, Emmanuel Clase got suspended yesterday. I guess put on leave. He wasn't actively suspended, but his name is associated with some questionable pitches and gambling, that now the rate for closers just went up even higher with Clase not available from Cleveland. I don't know if that means teams turn to Minnesota to look at Jax, at Stewart, at Duran, and offer even more. That's what you're going to have to be blown away if you're going to make a deal now. And it's not exciting. I know for some that just like to watch the games that they're dealing away players because August and September baseball is likely going to be irrelevant in Minneapolis. But they underachieved again. They're going to miss the playoffs for the fourth time in 5 years. They don't have an owner lined up. There are big questions around this baseball team that aren't going to be answered over the next few days. How they look going forward may be answered, but Derek Falvey, Thad Levine and I know Levine left after last year, for whatever they did, there are moves that they made that some you say, okay, but more often than not, there have been some that just did not pan out, and that one didn't, in my opinion, for Chris Paddock. We got a packed show coming up for you here today on this Tuesday morning. Looking forward to it. Our guest lineup is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Mike McFeely will join us coming up in about 20 minutes. Get his thoughts as Bison Fall Camp gets rolling tomorrow. Looking forward to that. That's coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, Grant Olson will join us, NDSU defensive coordinator. Look ahead to the Bison defense. There is some young guys that are going to be playing this fall for North Dakota State. They have some veterans back. We'll chat with Grant about the youth and experience the Bison defense has in 2025. And at 10:35, you'll meet New Prague, Minnesota's Maya Kilian will join us. Maya announced over the weekend that she's going to play basketball here in Fargo for Jory Collins and the Bison, member of the class of 2027. Just completed her sophomore year of high school, getting ready for her junior year. Kind of off the radar a little bit. We'll get the story on Maya coming up at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Tuesday morning. We're glad you're spending part of it with us. We come back. A salute to the great Ryan Sandberg. Hot mic off and rolling. We're back after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com. Welcome back, everybody. Tuesday morning show off and rolling. Grant Olson, Bison defensive coordinator, going to join us at the top of our second hour. Mentioned earlier off the top of the show yesterday evening as I was flipping between the Twins game and a couple other items that were on television last night. Raiders of the Lost Ark was on, which anytime that's on, I have to watch. It's a rule. My phone started buzzing and looked at it and just gasped, honestly. The news that Ryan Sandberg had passed away at the age of 65 and goes on the heels of the deaths of last week that we chatted about. Hulk Hogan, Ozzy being a part of that. And there was, again, a time where there's a certain generation now that only know the Cubs as being good. That was not always the case. 40 years ago especially, the Cubs were not good. 84 is actually when they started turning things around, and it was because of Ryan Sandberg, who was not originally a Cub. He was a Philly. And came to Chicago and transformed that franchise from lovable losers to then they became respected. They became good. He made his major league debut in 1981. He was traded. We're talking about bad baseball trades. Traded in January of 1982 with Larry Boa for veteran infielder Ivan DeJesus. That is a horrendous trade. Sandberg hit a career 285, 282 career home runs. I think people forget how much power he had. He hit 40 home runs in 1990. I remember that vividly. God, those old days at Wrigley, just sensational. Drove in over 1,000 runs. He may have been one of the best defensive second basemen in the history of the game. He won 9 Gold Gloves, made 10 All-Star teams. He won the Home Run Derby back when it was a thing in 1990, the year he hit 40 bombs. He was the MVP in 84. That was the year the Cubs won the National League East. Yes, the Cubs were in the East. The Cubs and the Mets actually used to be rivals way back when. Because the Cubs won in 84. That's when Doc Gooden became a thing. The Mets won it in 86. And they were trading back and forth after that. 19 home runs. This is a MVP season. Think about this, again, how different the game is. Hit .314, 19 home runs, 84 RBIs, stole 32 bases, had 19 triples at 114 runs scored. Sandberg hit .368 that year in the playoffs. The Cubs were eliminated by the Padres after winning the first 2 games of the National League Championship Series at Wrigley Field. That was the Black Cat deal as well. He had the Sandberg game at 84. Go back after the show. Find it on YouTube. MLB's vault is fantastic on that. It was a 12-11 Cubs win over the Cardinals, June 23rd, 1984, in 11 innings. Just last year, they unveiled a statue to Rhino outside of Wrigley. He announced that his cancer was in remission. Remember seeing that just last year. And obviously it came back and pretty aggressively. And just sad. You think back, though, and I tweeted this last night, the Cubs that I remember when Sandberg was playing, so now we're talking mid to late 80s. Think of the guys they had on their roster. They had 2 MVPs in Sandberg and Andre Dawson. Dawson, for the longest time, had the distinction of being the only MVP to ever win the award on a last-place team until A-Rod did it, and we know A-Rod was juicing when he did it with the Rangers before he was traded to the Yankees. They had those 2 guys. They had Greg Maddux, and again, people only think of Greg Maddux as Atlanta Brave. No, he was sensational in Chicago. And they had Mark Grace. And look it up. Nobody had more hits in the 1990s than Mark Grace did. They had Sean Dunston. They were good. They were really good. And Sandberg was right in the middle of it. Led Chicago to the playoffs in 89. That one I remember vividly. They lost to the Giants that year. That was the year San Francisco won the World Series. No, they lost in the World Series to Oakland that year. That was the Earthquake World Series. That year, he had .290 with 30 bombs. The Cubs won the National League East. That was it for the Mets, by the way, because the Mets won it in 86 and 88. And then after that, they fell off a cliff and weren't good again until 2000. 99, they were all right. And they lost to Will Clark and the San Francisco Giants in 5 games. Drove in a career-best 100 runs in 1990 and 1991, but never made it back to the postseason. I forgot that he managed the Phillies, that he actually became the Phillies manager when Charlie Manuel was fired in August of 2013. And he resigned with the Phillies in the middle of 2015. That was during the stretch when Philadelphia was trying to get its act together after they were really good, and they won the World Series in 2008, made it back in 2009, and then Phillies just kind of mired there for a bit. Then they've been really good again over the last little bit. Just a great baseball guy. It's a sad day. I think Craig Counsell said it perfectly, the manager of the Cubs, after Chicago lost to Milwaukee last night, that just he's a Cub. There's no other association people have other than great baseball player and a Chicago Cub. And just it's another part. I know people were messaging me last night, and just of a certain age bracket, like I am in my mid-40s, that grew up. We didn't have WGN until well after Sandberg was done playing. So I know a lot of people around here, that's what they grew up with, seeing him play for the Cubs, because they were on TV, first off, every day, because they play day games all the time. They don't play nearly as many as they used to. And who was their best player? It was him, and it wasn't close, because Dawson was on the backward trend of his career. Now, I went down a rabbit hole last night, and I had this saved on my computer, so I have to look at the 1990 Chicago Cubs. That was the year he won the MVP. Don Zimmer was the manager. It's just some great names. This is their lineup that year. Joe Girardi was the catcher. Grace at first base. Sandberg at second. Sean Dunston at short. Luis Salazar at third. Dwight Smith, the left fielder. Jerome Walton, I had his baseball card, the center fielder, and Andre Dawson was in right. Dawson, by the way, to his credit, hit 27 home runs and drove in 100 that year. Other guys that played, Doug DeCenzo, Lloyd McClendon, former Pirate great, Lloyd McClendon, Damon Berryhill, former Braves great. Here are the pitchers they had. Maddox, Mike Harkey, remember him? Mike Bielicki, remember? There's some Sean Bosky, former Brewer great. Paul Ossenmacher, Rick Sutcliffe. God, Mitch Williams, the Wild Thing, was on that team in 1990. An era long gone. And of teams that would bubble up, 84, obviously, 89. He played on some bad teams as well, but a great player, now gone. And it hits more with the Hall of Fame ceremony being on Sunday in Cooperstown. Again, I can't encourage baseball fans enough. If you have the time and the means to do it, find a way to get there. The plaque room in Cooperstown is sensational. That you could do 2 days. Do the plaque room for one day and then see the rest of the hall on another day, because it's just, if you're a baseball nut like myself, it's like going back in time and seeing his plaque there. It's pretty cool. Salute to a legend in Ryan Sandberg, gone at the age of 65. We're due for a break. We come back. Mike McFeely will join us. We're on the doorstep of a Bison football season. We'll discuss what Mike's looking forward to and a bunch more when we come back on a Tuesday morning edition of Hot Mike right after this.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Yeah. Let's do some broadcasting. Our guy Mike McFeely joins us in studio. It's the day before the day. Fall camp starts tomorrow. You're going to be out there, I'm sure, at 11 o'clock in the morning, ready to go.
Dragons now?
No, I'm talking Bison.
Oh, the Bison.
Dragons start next week. Excited about that, too.
Yes. Oh, very excited. Yeah, Jack Strand's senior year. Should be exciting for Steve Lockway over there. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting season for North Dakota State. And we say this every year, but we always kind of wonder what they have. And they've won 10 national championships, and so they seem to always have something pretty good. They always seem to be good at quarterback. They always seem to be good on the offensive line.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of how the pieces fit in. But there's obviously a question. I'm sure Cole Payton will have to answer the questions whenever he's made available, whatever, tomorrow or whenever. It's like, are you the guy?
Mm-hmm.
Can you be the guy? There's a lot of fans leaning on him to be the guy. And there's a lot of questions, frankly, of whether he can handle it and whether he's physically able to be the next great quarterback in North Dakota State.
Kolpeck and I went through a couple positions yesterday. Are there any either battles or players not QB related that you're going to look at during the next month at fall camp?
Yeah, I mean, tight ends is an interesting one. I mean, other than Carson Williams,
that's exactly right.
Who's going to be in that position?
Yep.
I still don't know that the offensive line is 100% set. Is it? I
don't think so. I think there's
so
at least
either.
one position up for grabs. I think guard is up.
And again, we question. It's like, but they always seem to find guys. They're always fine. But it's who's going to be those guys and who's going to be the backup. So that's the offensive line. The only college in America where the offensive line is like a huge,
right.
People are sitting around bars in North Fargo going, who's going to play right guard? I mean, name another.
Nowhere.
Again, you and I have joked about this over the years, but poor Dave Richmond and poor Jory Collins, they're trying to get something going basketball-wise at NDSU, and people at Labby's are talking about the left tackle or the right guard more than they're talking about the point guard or the big.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's just where we are in Fargo. Defensive line, we're going to have to see who they start there and who plays. I think, we might know who's going to start, but who's going to develop depth there?
Yep.
I think there's a lot of young guys that are going to be relied upon, are going to have to be relied upon. And I think that's going to be the same in all of FCS because of all the stuff we've talked about the last 3 or 4 years. And it's, this is the first year I think really that's, I don't want to say it's caught up to North Dakota State, but last year they had all those seniors that came back, and and so it was not, it didn't quite hit them last year. I think this year's where you go, okay, now there's a bunch of seniors left. The COVID years now, there's probably only a couple guys left on each team that are COVID guys. And nothing against the kids, but thank God that we're done with that. How many?
Trying to track years.
So you're a junior, but you're a senior academically, and you're in your 5th year, but you have an extra year, and we're trying to figure out the math, and that was never any good. And I think the defensive end from Albany that North Dakota's Jack Uliano. I think he's the 32-year-old defensive end.
He's in his 7th year.
In his 7th college year. Yes. 7th college year.
Yep.
And one of those this is his last year.
It. Last hurrah.
So you can look at it as I'm sure did he have an injury year in there?
So he had one and red shirt and the Ivy as well, because the Ivy didn't play, so that didn't count against him. Gosh. And then and a COVID year thrown on top of that.
Yes. So
that's why he actually played 2 years at Penn, transferred, played 1 year at Albany, and now he's got 1 year left here in Fargo. So.
Which was interesting that I read your story that's at Inform today about the transfers, where he said, I wanted a better experience.
Yes.
Sounds like things were pretty fun at Albany last year.
He did not have fun. Your guy Gattuso apparently did not make things great. Who now is at Penn State now.
Yep. So good for him.
There.
Every once in a while, I run across that. I have the video on my phone off of your guys' broadcast of when Gattuso was so mad at Matt Entz. It was a 27-6 game. I never understood that. And Gattuso calls him out publicly.
Oh yeah,
made a point to go after Entz. Classless. It's like what? It was 27-6. If it's 72-6, that's one thing.
We got another story
if
going on.
If it's 40-6, but it's 27-6, and they got a backup quarterback who they wanted to see what they had, and so they had Cam Miller throw a couple of passes.
Yep. Apparently that was
good.
Again, the level of pettiness in college football knows no bounds.
Incredible.
So,
incredible.
That was pretty good.
I learned a new. Speaking of pettiness, I learned a new one. The 2019 semifinal game against Montana State.
Yep.
Remember that game? NDSU ended up winning 41-6 or something.
Yeah.
But we remember Jeff Choate, the head coach at Montana State at the time. That's when he was whining about the NDSU has cost of attendance and NDSU has
facilities.
This. It's not a level playing field. And
that was the story all week.
I reported on it. Nobody in Bozeman did. They didn't think it was a big deal. I'm kind of going, it's pretty interesting that he's basically saying that NDSU isn't better. They just have more money and more facilities. And so that's when Spencer Wagey was doing. Was it Wagey?
No, it was Tuska.
Derek Tuska was doing the make it rain every time he'd make a sack or a tackle. It was just fantastic. But playing into that, which I just learned in the last couple weeks, was before the game. And I'd have to go back and watch to see if it's on video, but NDSU was out stretching and doing their thing, and Montana State ran through them coming out of the tunnel.
I don't know if I remember that.
And that was a big deal. From what I never noticed it at the time.
Really?
It never came up before, but it was there was some pleasantries exchanged between the head coaches.
Who, by the way, now they're in the same league together.
They're in the same conference together.
Yeah, because Choate is the coach at Nevada, and obviously Matt Entz is Fresno State.
Yes,
so.
But only for one more year. So they're in the same league right now.
At least for now.
But there was some have a great days exchanged when the Montana State players ran, jogged, some of the position players jogged through the stretch line or whatever.
I want to throw up the schedule for 2025, have you look at it here, and knowing obviously it's a 12-game year, and the Bison will start with their first 2 games on the road. That hasn't happened since 2014, Chris Kleiman's first year when they opened at Iowa State and Weber State to start that season. The game with USD obviously is going to stand out to me with that being the conference opener. I'm curious to see what the Coyotes have. What about you? What games outside of the obvious?
Illinois State is the one that's there. I mean, Illinois State we think is going to be pretty good, and they have a bunch of guys coming back. And they have some guys that were hurt last year that are back as well.
Yep.
So I mean, we always seem to kind of get excited about Illinois State
every year. Every year.
And last year was like, I mean, I was on the Illinois State train last year. And then they just kind of flopped until they ended up winning 10 or 11 games.
They won 10 games, made the second round of the playoffs last year.
I shouldn't say flopped, but then, NDSU just steamrolled them, and South Dakota State steamrolled them. And
same thing happened in 2019,
same
year.
They went out to Cal Davis, I think, and basically got steamrolled out there. So every time they played a good team, they sort of got just rolled. So we'll see. Illinois State, obviously, South Dakota State. At North Dakota is going to be we'll see where both teams are at that point. I need to see what UND has. I am of the belief that UND is going to be better under Eric Schmidt than they were under Bubba Schweiger.
I agree with you there.
I think that there are recruiting connections, and I've heard that they've sort of restructured some things internally in terms of recruiting and nutrition and strength training and all that stuff. I just don't know how big of an effect it's going to have this year, because I just think that there's a lot of leftovers from a year ago when UND wasn't very good. Was horrible defensively, frankly.
Look at the last couple games, Mike. Northern Iowa, and then remember, they have St. Thomas. So the Bison really, I mean, if things go the way they could go.
I think Northern Iowa is going to be really bad.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. If the things go maybe how
this year,
NDSU is hoping, I mean, the end of the season, that last month, Youngstown, I don't think is going to be any great shakes either this year.
I think they're going to be better than you think.
Think so?
I do. Yep. That game is here, though.
I picked Youngstown 6th. So and the other in the second half of the Valley. You mentioned UND, then Northern Iowa and St. Thomas. I mean, that's not a murderer's row to end the regular season.
But if the UND game was here, I'd say, boy, that might be 3 cakewalks to end the year. But it's always going to be a tough game in Grand Forks, because they're going into the Hornets' nest. And I've said it 1 million times before. I'll say it a million more. It is the Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Finals Game 7, NBA Finals Game 7, College Football Playoff Championship game. It is everything to you. That game is everything to UND. Everything. Especially if they're going to be in a position. Well, I mean, and maybe if they surprise, maybe they need the win, to get into the playoffs, and it's even more so. But we'll see where it is.
We talked about it last week, because UND gets both NDSU and SDSU in Grand Forks this year. That's a big deal.
SDSU was up there last year.
Yeah, that's part of the scheduling where they're trying to get everybody off of doing that. So because this is the start, NDSU will go to Grand Forks back-to-back years, this year and next year, because they're trying to get NDSU or SDSU and UND off of the home schedule both times.
It's interesting. UND tries to make South Dakota State into their rival also. And I don't understand that. I know they're trying to get some excitement going, but it's SDSU and UND are like NDSU and SDSU were back in the NC. It just wasn't any great game. It was just whatever. But now they're trying to make that into a big deal. But that's whatever.
You wrote about Youngstown State, and you visited with Doug Phillips, who was anxious to talk to anybody.
Oh my God!
At Valley Media Day last week.
I said hello, and a half hour later, I was. I guess that's a column for me. Okay. Which was fine. It seems like a nice guy. Seems like a good guy.
I forget, you wrote about it. His first game as head coach was the COVID spring year. He came out because Jim Tressel was here too.
He brought that up, and I totally forgot. I completely blocked whatever I can of that spring season out of my mind, because it was just so stupid that they even played any games at all. But no, he said, my first game. He got hired in February of 2020. COVID hits. Then they don't have a fall season, so it's all just a disaster.
So now it's February of 2021.
His first game is here, and as I wrote, he said, I walked out of the locker room and looked at them and went, "Oof, we don't look like that at all."
Then a couple years ago, they made the playoffs. They won a game in the first round. They ended up losing to Villanova in 2023.
Yeah, that surprised me.
I think we were both on the bandwagon. They were going to win that game.
I'm not a big CAA guy anymore. That JMU is gone, and I've always been not anti-Villanova. I've noticed I've just never believed that Villanova is that.
They've
good.
Never given us a reason to believe in them.
Correct. Yeah.
And then last year was just a disaster for Youngstown. They lost a ton of guys in the portal too.
Right. And it was interesting what Coach Phillips said to me. Was he said, "Well, honestly, I wasn't prepared. Like I wasn't prepared that I was going to lose all those guys, and so we just didn't have anybody to take their place last year." And he said, "Now I'm to heck with it. I'm just going to recruit a bunch of high school kids and build them up. And then if guys leave, the next guy's going to have to step in and play, and hopefully he's good enough to take their spot.
And I've heard more and more coaches say that in the FCS level, that we're okay.
Well, what else can you do?
There isn't, right. You're not going to go and get guys from...
And again, you and I are on the same page.
Yeah.
I just don't think you can go out and get a bunch of transfers.
Yeah.
You can get some that are maybe better than what you have, but if you want to contend for a national championship, which is what the standard is here and in Brookings and now in Vermilion, I just don't think that you can just lose 12 guys and then go get 12 guys and go, okay, everything's fine.
Yeah. Let's break. We'll come back. A couple more minutes with Mike. We wrap up our first hour on this Tuesday morning. Back on Hot Mike on WDAY Extra right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Hot Mike rolls on. This is a good email. Dom and Mike, the age of some of these guys making announcements about eligibility and transferring is a lot like the professionals caliber. Call a presser to announce their retirement at the end of the season, saying things like, I've given all I can to the game, and it's time to spend some more time with my family, or maybe get a job and start a family.
Yep. Yeah, it's
more power to it. Hey, if you got another year to play and somebody thinks you can, go for it.
As a soon-to-be 59-year-old guy, it's like, you know what? I look back when I was younger and said, you know, like, why did I not play my last couple of years of college golf? I had, I wasn't any good, and my team was horrible, and I was horrible. But like, why didn't I just play? Why? So play as long as you can.
Yep. Another email comes in. Mike, any thoughts on what the Twins are doing? I can answer this. They made, obviously, their first selling trade yesterday.
Clearly, I heard Falvey. I heard some comments he made. Coming out of the All-Star break,
another word salad guy.
But I think if you need to read between the lines of what these guys are saying. Is he said something like, we came out of the break and we didn't get the start we needed to, and so then clearly they were waiting to see how things were going to go those first couple series, and when they lost 2 of 3 or whatever in both series, they said, okay, that's it. And then they started to make some moves. If they would have swept both series and got back within a few games of the last wild card spot,
because Detroit's not playing right now.
So then maybe then you hang on, but I mean, you're not gonna get rid of Buxton. You can't.
No.
You're not gonna get rid of Lopez. You can't. You don't want to get rid of some of the younger guys because I think you want to give them a chance. So, I mean, your tradable assets are Chris Paddock and Jimmy Shimtree,
Harrison Bader,
pretty
much
right?
it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's just whatever. I mean,
kind of where they're at for.
But just wait until the Polads sell the team. Then
and everything's
going to change.
Going to take off
because then the new owner is going to be doing the Derek Tuska thing and just throwing money at free agents. That's the dream of all these hayseed fans and all these rubes on the radio in Minneapolis that once they just absolutely believe with all their heart that if some other guy other than the dastardly Polads owns the Twins, that suddenly they're going to just start throwing money and they're going to build this World Series champion in a year or two. And my prediction would be, knowing how this all goes, I've been around a little bit. I followed stuff a little bit. Whoever buys the team, they're going to come in and say, we're going to do what we got. They're going to say all the right things. And then a month later, we're going to hear that they want $15 million in public money to add some suites to the stadium because they're not generating enough revenue to be competitive. And then they're going to go to the legislature and they're going to want another $50 million to renovate the stadium again and to build more boxes and this and that because they need more revenue to be competitive. That's how it's going to go.
You're predicting it.
Yes.
All right.
That they're going to ask for money before they spend money.
Probably. Mark it down, though. He's got it July 29th, 2025 on that.
But what are A-Rod and Lori doing?
Yep.
Oh yeah, we're gonna build this new arena on it. Okay, so
they're greasing the skids on that one already.
Where are you gonna build it?
Right.
First of all, and then who's gonna pay for it?
Yep.
So it's great. Yep, they need a new arena. Target Center is allegedly obsolete, but Okay, so let's hear the plan.
What's the plan?
A-Rod.
Right, yeah.
Let's hear the plan, Lori.
One last email. Mike, give us your thoughts on upcoming for the Viking season. Is J.J. McCarthy the guy to lead the Vikes to the playoffs?
He better be, because they don't really have a lot of options, and they're put all their eggs in his basket. They have done everything they need to
they've
do.
Built around him. There's no doubt.
Have absolutely built an offensive line that's better, and their defensive line
really good.
is going to be really good, and they have the pieces in place. They re-signed the running back, Aaron Jones.
Yep.
They got some younger guys. It all depends on the quarterback position, as it does for so many teams.
Yeah.
But last year they clearly had some weaknesses that the Rams exposed badly.
Yeah, that was not great.
In the playoffs.
So did the Lions the week prior.
Yes. I could have gotten 3 sacks on Sam Darnold in that. I mean, and I'm 5'11", 185, and
You've got great
58
burst.
years old.
Great burst, though.
And my engine's always running.
Yeah.
My motor's always running.
Great hands.
My motor's always running. I'm built different.
You are. There you go. Thank you. That's good.
It's football season.
You got to get the lexicon going here.
SZN. It's football season, SZN. So my motor, I'm built different.
Man.
The expectation or the expectations. We are what we are. It is what it is.
One game at a time.
One game at a time. We're playing a faceless opponent. It's about the name. It's about the name on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back of the jersey.
That one gets me every time.
Yep.
Faceless opponent. That's good.
Nobody thinks we're going to win.
No. Circa Chris Kleiman 2017.
Yes. Nobody thought we were going to win that game.
Who thought that?
Like, nobody thought we were going to win that game.
What?
What?
What are you talking about? You're the reigning champ. What are you talking about?
You're ranked number 1 in the country, and you're the defending national champion. You've won like 5 of the last 6 national championships, and you literally said nobody thought we were going to win that game. What? Like who? Some guy in Uzbekistan in the mountains?
Tell us who thought that, please.
And I went up to him, which I give myself eternal credit for. I literally went from my chair up to the thing and went, who? Name one person that didn't think you were going to win that game. Well, no, just nobody. You guys were dogging us. I'm like,
what?
Who?
Yeah.
Just give me one name.
Oh, man.
Couldn't do it.
Before we go, you have a favorite 1990 Chicago Cub. We were talking about that before you came on.
Oh, boy. I was like Andre Dawson. I
Dawson
just
the
thought
Hawk.
he was cool.
Oh, gosh.
I just thought he was cool.
And he just, the swing he had, it just was.
Yep. He was just a long, lean guy and just kind of quiet, and he was outstanding. But coming from a place where we had one television station, and we didn't have cable. I don't even know if it was available at the time when I was growing up, and mom and dad didn't have the money to get it anyway. So to come up to college up here, and then have cable in the dorms at that time, although I don't think we did at that time, to have cable available somewhere, and then to see like WGN, like there was a baseball game in the middle of the day on TV,
the best thing ever.
I mean,
right?
I mean, I was like, wow. I used to see like 3 games a year on TV. That's it. The playoff games and the All-Star game, and like 2 Twins games a year.
That was it. Yep.
Yeah. And so to see, like every day, you'd like walk into the lounge area of the dorm and like, there's a Cubs game on
1:30 in the afternoon,
at 1:30 on a Wednesday.
Yeah,
I'll be darned.
Yeah, how about that? It's great.
Some drunk guy calling the games, and it was fantastic.
Thanks as always for stopping by. We'll see you at practice tomorrow, okay? Right?
Oh,
you're going to go there?
Are you assigning me to this?
Yes, you're out there tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Yeah, all right.
Mike McFeely joins us each and every Tuesday at 9:30. Back, we'll start hour 2. Grant Olson will join us, NDSU defensive coordinator, other side of the break. When we come back right after this.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll on this Tuesday morning. Our thanks to Mike for giving us a few minutes, as always. Bison have their first practice tomorrow afternoon, coming up at 1:30. About 10 of them, I believe, are going to be open to the media, so a little different change on that, but any access is better than none, is what I'll say to that. We're hopeful Grant Olson going to join us. I'm sure there was a late meeting that he didn't know about. So we'll see. Hopefully we'll have a chance to visit with him here coming over the next couple minutes. Now, I did want to talk with him and we can do this here even without him. On the linebackers that the Bison have coming back in 2025. And it's an intriguing mix of guys here because you'll look at what they have for depth. They have just one senior. And that's Logan Kopp, which, granted, that's a pretty good one you're going to have on that group. Here's the list of guys. Kopp being the one senior. Staling is now taking over in the middle as a junior. Donovan Woolen, likely going to be one of the outside guys, a sophomore. Austin Altapeter, who got a chance to run last year, is a junior. Peter Haugo moving back to linebacker, redshirt freshman. Oliver Luck, we've heard plenty of good things about. Fargo kid is a sophomore. And transfer Alex Elliott from the University of Minnesota, also a sophomore as well. That's the linebacker room as I see it. Defensive coordinator may have a different view on that, and also the linebacker coach. Grant Olson joined. Did you have a meeting? Did you just get out of one? Is that what's going on?
You know, it's funny. You're going to laugh. I got up early this morning and got my work done, and then I've been picking weeds, actually.
Oh, let's go.
You got a last summer project before fall camp starts, picking weeds.
You have the bucket hat to do that, I hope. It's sunny out. I hope you protect that melon.
I did not. No, I'm getting a little sunburned up top right now, unfortunately.
All right, give me back to your playing days. It's the day before the day. What were the emotions like you remember before the day before fall camp started?
Yeah, good question. Always excitement. Always excited to start. It's your first day. It's a fresh start for everybody. You know, if you're a backup, hey, this is my opportunity to go out and earn a starting position. If I'm a starter, it's my opportunity to keep my starting position and get ready to go have a great year. So anyway, excited about the competition. You know, I think there's always a little bit of, in some ways, sadness is not the word, but just a little bit of, man, summer's over. Yeah. You know, and just acknowledging you got to put that behind you and you got to move forward with football. And I remember always, like, the day before, I'm like, we're going to have a bunch of meetings and all these things that you got to do, right? Physicals and all that stuff. But then the very first day, I always remember just being crazy excited.
It's not that long ago, but it seems in college football, it's like an eternity ago. But how different is the off-season program when you play to what the guys do now?
Man, good question. I think that overall, I think things are extremely similar as far as, like, you know, there's runs and there's workouts and there's conditioning. So a lot of that is still good old same college football. I think that there's a lot more distractions now. The transfer portal and NIL and all these different factors all of a sudden make it a lot more difficult just to focus on being a great football player. So anyway, that's one of our challenges as coaches, is to be able to just get these guys and say, hey, like, you know, all we need to do is show up on Wednesday, July 30th and have a great practice. Let's focus on that.
For you running around, I know how excited you are. It's just, how much is your own energy you want to transfer that to the guys tomorrow? Or do you, if you need to, are you worried about that? Because, hey, it's day one. You should be energized and ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that our guys are I know they're going to show up with plenty of energy. Yeah. They've had a good rest. They're feeling good. They did their conditioning test with Knapp and Kramer, so things are awesome. I think that day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, like, that's where all of a sudden it's like, okay, coach, are you going to bring the same energy those days? So that's the challenge. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what leaders really step up. You know, I'm looking forward, you know, we've lost so many seniors on defense that I want to see who is going to be the leader of the corner room, who's going to bring energy at that position. You know, what linebacker other than Logan Kopp is going to bring great energy and passion and enthusiasm. So that'll be fun.
I'm interested when you guys still did 2 days as well. They don't do that anymore. So you feel like they're getting out easy considering they don't have to do that anymore?
Overall, honestly, yes. I think that there was something about going through 2 days as just a great experience. And I understand some of the reasoning behind it, but I'll also sit here and argue at the same time. I'm like, plenty of high school teams go through 2 days. Yep. And we're in great shape. So there's no true reason that physically we can't do it. And I know they talk about concussions and some of those things. I just don't know the research as much as possible, but I think it's good character development to go through a 2-a-day every now and again. I really do. So anyway, I'd love to see them come back, but it's probably never going to happen.
I put a story out today, Grant, on the transfers that are joining the team, and obviously there's more on the defensive side than on the offensive side. How much, when the guys are coming to visit, did you have a chance to interact with them, say, okay, we think you can help and be a part of our defense? When they're coming on visits, how much are you kind of feeling that process out? Like, this guy could fit. He could plug in and help our defense.
I think that's a huge part for me, and a big part of that is just getting to know them on the phone, but then also seeing them and talking some football. So what we try to do with a lot of visits is we try to make sure that everybody gets to have a position coach meeting, but then also finding 20 minutes, 30 minutes to sit down with the defense coordinator and for me to be able to give them an overview of our defense. And one thing that I always stress is like, hey guys, it's not my defense. The principles of Bison football are the exact same for the last 15 plus years on defense. We're just the next guys to be doing it. But I do like grabbing a defensive tackle and saying, okay, these are the fronts that we're going to run. These are the movements where we're going to allow you to go make plays. There's going to be times that you got to hold your gap, and there's times that we're going to let you cut it loose. So anyway, I think that's really powerful for some of these guys to come in with a super realistic expectation. It's so easy when you're recruiting to only ever show the positive. All you do is show plays of defensive tackles making sacks, and like, this is all we do. Like, well, that's not true. Of course not. We got to stop the run. We got to do other things. So anyway, I think that just gives guys a really realistic expectation of, I'm coming to NDSU to do these things. There's no hidden agenda, and that way they got more buy-in when they show up. And shoot, that's everything, I think, for a transfer. Are you willing to buy into the program you're now at?
We were talking about the linebacker room before you came on, knowing you mentioned the departure of 4 seniors there. Kopp is the one senior. Describe that room, and athleticism is crazy, but not a ton of playing experience. How do you balance that for what you're looking for through fall camp?
Yeah, good question. I think that our live repetitions, we don't do very many of them, but those live repetitions are going to be huge just to instill some confidence in those guys. Like, I'm extremely excited about the guys that we've coming back. We've got really talented football players that, like you said, just don't have a ton of experience. So we got to get them as much experience as they can. I don't need to see Logan Kopp grinding every single day of fall camp. He's an All-American candidate for a reason. He's proven that. But we do need to see Austin Altapeter and Peter Howe go get some live tackles in. And I know they can tackle. This is not a lack of belief. I just need to make sure that they get some experience so they can build some confidence. And those guys are going to be 2 really darn good players for us this year. They just need their opportunity.
Kolpak and I were talking yesterday about the middle linebacker spot, and obviously Staling taking over there, about, and this is no disrespect to what Wirtz and Kubitz did, but how athletic a guy that Staling is that about as athletic as Jackson Hankey was last there? Give me your, because that's a spot personally. Give me your assessment of that, of what Staling can do in the middle.
Well, it's hard to always rank and compare because everybody's still in some ways their own unique linebacker. But just overall, like, if you had all of our Mike linebackers, just the Mike position in the last 15, 20 years go through a combine, I think at the end of the day, like, just based on the NFL combine scores, I think Nathaniel would be number 1, if not number 2. I think he's really that athletic. You combine the bench press and the squat and the vertical and the 40. He's running, I believe Kramer, he's one of the top 10 guys for velocity when we wear our GPS units. He's 235 pounds with almost a 40-inch vertical. That's pretty darn rare. That's an elite number. Yep. So anyway, really excited about Nathaniel again to get his opportunity. And, I know I told people last year, I thought he was the third. Yeah. I think he was the best 3rd-string Mike linebacker in the entire country, and that includes every single program. And it's just ended up behind older guys. So, man, cannot wait for him to get his shot.
For the guys that are – Alex Elliott's another guy you and I have talked about. You know Alex for a long time, tried to recruit him the first time when he came out of Hutchinson. That's a guy that's coming in. Is that during fall camp say, okay, we know you've played college football. How long do you want him to get a sense of what Bison football is before we trust him to get out there and get on the field?
Well, I think that if he does a great job in fall camp, I'm not going to hesitate to play him right away. If he ends up earning a starting position, he's going to play. It's been really good just in meetings and in drills and things like that. I can just explain a drill and I just look at his eyes and he's got confidence and he knows what he's doing. He works really hard. He's prepared. I'm excited to coach him. It's one of those that just sometimes you just got a good feeling for a guy and his personality and his demeanor and all those things. And I just know that he fits our culture and our program so incredibly well. So he's going to have a good year. I have no doubt in my mind about that. Right away, he's going to be up going with the ones and rotating in there. He's going to be on the ones field. He's going to be competing his tail off, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does.
Sky's the limit with Donovan Woolen. What do we not know about him that you've seen up close?
Man, what do you not know about him? That's a great question. I would say that I think Donovan has really improved his man-to-man. I think that was a huge step he made from fall to spring. Donovan worked extremely hard this last year. He's got great work ethic. He's really smart. I'm trying to think anything else that I would just add to that mix. I'll tell you this, Donovan's going to be a really good leader for us this year. As a young guy, as a true sophomore in his second year, it's not often that you get great leadership out of a guy in his second year. Donovan is going to bring excellent leadership to our defense and football team without a doubt.
You have 6 incoming freshman linebackers. How do you work with them while also, hey, I need to figure out what a rotation is? How much time are you devoting to those guys when fall camp begins?
Honestly, probably 50-50 in some ways. One thing I love about the way that we double rep is like, I'm going to send Coach Moonen, who's helping me with the linebackers. I'm going to send him down to the ones field for half of our double reps, and I'm going down with the twos. Like our very first walkthrough, I've already decided I'm going with the twos. I don't need to be worried about Logan Kopp on our day one install. He knows what he's doing, and I'm going to let him be a leader. I'm going to let Nathaniel be a leader on down the line. But I am going to coach those young guys and figure out who can help us right away. Yeah. We lost a ton, but man, we also brought in, like you said, we brought in a ton. I'm really excited about them. I mean, shoot, I'm like when I stand around them, they dwarf me. And I'm like, I'm not a short guy, but man, these guys are tall. They got broad shoulders. They're fast and athletic. And I'm like, these are what D1 linebackers are supposed to look like. So anyway, I'm really excited to get a chance to coach these guys. And then, just bringing them down. Like we've got so many, it's going to be nice. Hey, we're going to put you guys all on one field and we're going to let you compete and we're going to let the cream rise to the top. So it'll be fun to see what happens.
There's a couple highly touted guys, Grant, on the recruiting process. Chase Brixius out of one out of Benilde St. Margaret's. Gavin Sell, another kid. Jacob Orbanek played for the state champs in Maple Grove. Damian Devine, you got, whose younger brother is also coming next year. Those guys are all really highly touted players. How early on, because you played as a true freshman, do you get a sense when you look like, I think this guy can help us? Is there a date? Is there a marker to you to say, okay, he's getting it. I think we can play him.
Gotcha. Well, good. Okay. So good question. So I think, kind of twofold. So one, that date athletically is a lot earlier than what it used to be just because they've been here all summer. So like right now, every one of the incoming linebackers fits with our current linebackers. And I think that's always a thing of like, are they as fast? Are they as strong? Well, maybe they're not squatting as much, but anyway, they look good in the movement drills. They can move their feet and all those things. They got good hips. So anyway, right now, I think athletically, those freshman linebacker can help us this year. Mentally, I would tell you that for me, I probably can make that decision by day 10 of whether, in the first, I'll even take that back. I'll even say in the first 5 days of install, if they show that they know what they're doing, they can help us. I'll never forget Logan Kopp, and we tease him a little bit about this, but I think it was like day 2, and Logan made a night, or didn't make a play, and I coached him on it. He goes, "Okay, coach, I got it." And we tease him about that, like, okay, but it's day 2. We tease him about that. But then I will say he didn't miss that thing the rest of camp. And he went and made a bunch of plays. And it was like, wow, okay, like how many freshmen come in and day 2, they've got a technique that is one of your foundational principles of your defense. Yeah. So anyway, like I knew right away, day 3, I could have told you Logan Kopp was going to be really darn good.
A couple of non-linebacker questions. On the other spots on defense, positional-wise, what's maybe a younger guy we haven't seen play a lot that maybe in fall camp we should keep our eyes on over the next month?
Yeah, gotcha. A younger player. Okay, one I'll give you the name of Victor Isley at the defensive end position. Victor looked really good at times in spring ball. I'm excited to see what Victor can do. He's a guy that hasn't got a chance to play a whole lot. A guy in the secondary. I feel like we probably know most of them, but it will be really fun to see Talon Eady all of a sudden get a chance to play. Really excited about Talon. Will Stile from McCory, Minnesota. Really excited about him. Those are 2 young safeties. I'm excited to see. It's one of those that's funny. Like when you first asked the question, I started going through my mind and I started thinking of Darius and Crumby and some of those guys. And I'm like, wait a minute, they did play a ton at the end of the year. You forget how many injuries we had. Shoot, Darius and Crumby started the year as probably our 4th and 5th safety last year, and then all of a sudden they end up being starters and being big-time playmakers in the national championship game. So anyway, that's where I just look at a lot of positions, and I'm sitting there saying, maybe because they didn't start enough games, they don't have the designation of returning starter, but man, we got plenty of playing experience coming back, a lot more than what you think.
All right, so take me back to the fall of 2010. Who came? Was it Coach Bowl to tell you you're going to play? We're pulling your red shirt. We need you. Give us that conversation.
Man, great question. I'm thinking back to it. It's one of those that, and realistically, I think Coach Bull grabbed me at one point, but a lot of those conversations do end up happening within the position group and whatnot. And I think for me, I started on the twos field And then all of a sudden, probably by day 3 or day 4, I was on the ones field backing up Preston Evans. And it was like, well, if you're on the ones field, you're probably going to be playing at some point, And then all of a sudden I was a backup for Coach Polsek on every single unit. And then all of a sudden I'm starting on a couple of units. And that was, through the beginning of the season there. So anyway, something that was probably really surprising, to be honest with you. I look back and I'm like, I had no idea. You're a freshman, you don't know what you don't know. So anyway, all of a sudden the running down on starting kickoff against Kansas was not what I expected on August 5th going into that year. That's for sure.
That's fantastic. That's wild. We're going to go in the Wayback Machine. So the countdown is going to hit 29 here in a couple days, and that's a pretty famous number for you because that's the number of tackles you had. Also, Eric Breitenstein is up for the College Football Hall of Fame this year, the guy from Wofford that you tackled 29 times. What do you remember about that game?
I remember, I remember there were just a really physical football game. They were a little bit unique because they had their triple option elements. Quarterback was under center, very traditional. And then they had their triple option elements where the quarterback was in the shotgun. And all of a sudden, that just adds a unique element. It was very similar to what Sam Houston State was in the national championship game in 2011. So it was good to have some of that experience for sure. But, man, it's difficult to get ready for a team like that on such short notice. So that was something that was definitely remembrance. I remember their defense was really good.
Yeah.
Man, it was just like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I remember the fans were amazing. It was a loud game. It was a lot of fun. And it was one of those, it was kind of like one of those where sometimes you get in an element and you just stop thinking and you just go play football. And it just was kind of, I think, one of those where, everybody at some point has probably had that experience where maybe it's a baseball pitcher where you don't even look at the signs of the catcher. You're just throwing strikes and having a fun time doing it. So that was probably a similar experience for me of just like, man, just read your keys and go to the football and tackle what you see. And it just happened to work out that there was a lot of tackles involved.
Did you know the number until I remember interviewing you on the field after the game? Did you know it prior to that, or when did you find out like how many you actually had?
Whoever I got on a radio interview or whoever the first interview was on the field after the game was the first time I found out about it. It was one of those, like all of a sudden you're involved in a lot of tackles and it's like, man, I've been in on a lot of tackles, but I had no idea. It could have been 12. It could have been 50. I had no idea. You just kept playing, and it was like, it was just such an intense game. You didn't even have time to think about such a thing. But anyway, I had no idea until after the game. Dom, it was probably you told me, to be completely honest with you. I promise you, I had no idea until after the game.
All right, last thing. We dug up a video from an interview you and I did. This is 14 years ago. The locks are fantastic. I'll show you here. Can you describe, did you show Amy this? And can you describe what the hairstyle was going here in 2011?
Oh, man. Good question. Well, you see those waves I got right there? I like telling guys, I said, you could take my waves to the beach. I had some good curls now. Good. Hey, shout out to Marcus Williams. Marcus let me borrow some of his hats. And for those that have grown their hair out, know that if you wear a hat, you can get a little bit extra curl going. So anyway, shout out to Marcus Williams for helping me back in the day. But no, that's more of an embarrassing photo than anything. So I never showed that one to Amy. I'm sure she's seen it, but no, I never showed it to her.
Let me tell you, that first title team is memorable for a lot of reasons. A, the hair was outstanding. Yeah. By the time you guys got to Texas, that was right. Velbin's was like down to his shoulders. Colter Boyer, all you guys, it was crazy.
That was a fun year, yes. And I look back and I think one of the guys that probably learned the most in that situation was Coach Bull. Coach Bull used to be he wanted your hair a tie and tight guy. And then I think so many guys started doing it and you stopped caring. Yeah. And then we kept winning and he probably thought to himself, you know what, they're having a good time and we got good vibes. Let's keep it going.
Man.
Anyway, I look back and just what a fun moment in life to grow your hair out and who cares, right? We can bring up those stories and I don't mind getting embarrassed.
It's great to see you, man. Thanks so much for the time. I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow when we get going, okay?
Awesome. Thanks, Dom. I appreciate it.
There he goes. Grant Olson, NDSU defensive coordinator, joining us here. Former Bison standout linebacker, won 3 national championships, was two-time captain at NDSU. We appreciate his time this morning and get ready to go tomorrow afternoon, the first day of fall camp. We'll break. We come back. There were 2 egregious missed calls last night that, again, make me say, why are we not have robot umpires? We'll show you that other side of the break. Maya Kilian from New Prague, Minnesota, coming up in about 10 minutes. Back on Hot Mic after this. Welcome back, everybody. Quick segment here, thanks to Grant Olson for joining us. So last night, after the Twins game got delayed by a rain, the Mets had started. Great game last night, by the way. San Diego beat New York last night 7-6. Walked them off in the bottom of the ninth. Broke the Mets' 7-game win streak. What happened last night, not only in this game, but in the Blue Jays-Orioles game last night, again, is a reminder of human umpire, great. But if we are blatantly missing balls and strikes, we gotta do better. Gotta do better. Last night in the Mets-Padres game, Juan Soto had already been called out earlier in the game on an egregious call and had to be physically restrained by 2 to 3 coaches. The Mets manager got tossed, the whole 9 yards. So then later in the game, he comes up. This is in the 7th inning. And this is not that's called a strike. It's not a strike. Soto lost it. Thankfully, he didn't get tossed there because he had some more choice words for the umpire. But in what world is that a strike? We have the box there, right? That's a ball. Not a strike. I don't blame him for losing it. So that happened. So then in the Orioles game last night, this happens. Watch this. This comes up. This is in Baltimore, Toronto. This is called a ball. The catcher literally froze. What are we doing? Watch this again. This is egregiously bad. This is down the middle. That's a strike in every universe, in the multiverse, wherever you want to say. The fact that the catcher froze, turned around, talked to the umpire. I mean, that's amazing. That to me is unbelievable. Like, we have the technology. We need to use it. I understand we like the human element of it, but when we have that happening, and those are affecting games, right? Those are affecting people's jobs, affecting people's standings, contract, whole 9 yards. We got to be better. We have the technology to do it. We got to fix it. Because that was... The Soto one is me... I'll take my Mets hat off for a second. That, okay, it was borderline. The other one, the Orioles, no, there's nothing borderline about that. I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe he just lost where he was. That was right down the middle. And I credit to Kevin Brown and Ben McDonald, who called the games for the Orioles, freaked out, as they should, because that was a strike. It's like Leslie Nielsen, the Naked Gun reboot's coming out, like when Leslie Nielsen is Enrico Palazzo at the end of the Naked Gun. He's the umpire. Strike? It's all we're missing. That was a strike. We'll break. We come back. You'll meet the newest women's basketball commit for the Bison out of New Prague, Minnesota. Maya Kilian will join us on the other side. We come back right after this. Welcome back, everybody. A couple emails coming in on our last topic there on the ABS, which is obviously the system that Major League Baseball is using in the minor leagues right now, saying the umpires are never going to agree to it, which actually a story that came out right before the All-Star break is that the umpires want it because they don't want to see themselves on ESPN anymore for reasons like we just saw last night, that it's fairly obvious that they don't want to have their mistakes highlighted as they have been on national television. Last night notwithstanding, because there were a couple of egregious ones that people missed there. And frankly, when that happens, like we said, it's costing jobs, it's costing people opportunities to win games. All that is part of the deal, and it hasn't been pretty on that. So we'll, I hope that's going to be part of the negotiation going forward. We mentioned it yesterday on our Best of the Weekend. was a busy basketball one locally. UND added another player for the class of 26. The Bison men did for 26. The Bison women didn't want to be left out. They added a player for 2027. Yeah, we're that early in recruiting. And they went back to the state of Minnesota, where Jory Collins has been feasting over the last handful of years to get players there. And he found his next player out of New Prague, Minnesota. We got to give Sam Getzinger plenty of love on that since he's a New Prague guy. Maya Kilian announced on Saturday, I believe, her commitment to play for the Bison women, and she joins us here this morning. First off, congratulations. Second, has your phone been done? Is it still blowing up over the last couple days?
No, it's kind of calmed down a little bit.
Describe this recruiting process. I mean, this is for some that are the uninitiated. Maya, they think, well, this is early. Like, she just finished her sophomore year. How long has this been going on for you?
Probably since the beginning of my sophomore year, I started getting calls, but it kind of picked up after Live at the Lakes this year. A little more colleges started calling and then offering to.
What was that like? Knowing, okay, this is real. Like, colleges think I can play Division I basketball or play college basketball. What was that emotion like?
It was really cool at first because as a little kid, I always wanted to play college. So just knowing I could like get to the next level, like D1 wise, it was pretty cool.
What was there a meeting, a practice? Did somebody like what was the moment for you that it sunk in? Like, this is happening. This is real.
Probably when I got my very first call, like from NDSU, it was like, wow, like colleges are actually calling me and I could play.
I know your basketball journey has been pretty challenging the last couple of years. For people that don't know, you've battled some injuries. Give us what's been going on off the court that's kept you from playing the last little bit.
Yeah, in my freshman year, I had a little accident during a homecoming parade, and it kind of like I had an accident with the trailer. I kind of got ran over my foot, not just like my whole body, but yeah, that was a little like a little bump in the road. But after I got over that, I came back my freshman year, and then during the semifinals of playoffs, we were playing Lakeville North, and I think it was in the first half. A girl was going for a layup, and I tried to like defend it, and I sidestepped my ankle and broke it. The same one again.
How frustrating was that? Like, okay, it's the same foot, same deal. Like, just describe what that emotion was like.
It was really heartbreaking at first because I kind of knew like, oh, my AAU season's gonna be cut a little short, so it was kind of heartbreaking. But I knew I could get back faster because I knew what to do.
The recovery time on that, how just knowing, okay, I can't play, I want to be out there so people can see what I can do. How frustrating was that?
It was kind of like I knew I could play like during AAU. Like it was really like hard to watch my teammates play without me because I was just sitting there cheering, being the best teammate I could be at the time. So just knowing like I could help the team, but I can't help the team yet, it was just a little frustrating.
What was that first game back like? Were you ready to rip the door off the hinges on that game night? What was the first night back like for you?
Yeah, it was really fun, like getting back into the game. It was like kind of like I had to build up my confidence a little bit, but also a little scared because I knew last time basketball was the problem to my injury. So like a little scared, but also very excited.
Now you're 100% now health-wise?
Yeah.
So describe that of being back, playing, and now this has happened. Does it feel like a 180 from where things were even a year and a half ago?
Yeah, totally.
I guess how much more appreciative are you to be able to, I always hear when athletes have it taken away, they appreciate it much more. Can you talk about that now of being back out and playing?
Yeah, I totally like took a 180, as you said. Like now playing, like I recognize like how much this game actually means to me because when it's taken away at a point which wasn't very, like I really wanted to play because I was playing on a new AAU team, like wanted to get to know the girls, but also it was taken away from me. So more appreciative when I step on the court because I know I have the ability to and some girls don't.
So describe when NDSU got in the mix. What did you know about them, and what was the initial reaction when they called and say we're interested?
NDSU was my first ever phone call, so it was kind of like I don't really know how to talk to college coaches, so I was like, yeah, like a little quiet at first. But once they started to call me more, I got more comfortable and then really started like looking at the program, getting to know the coaches, and it was just like a fun time trying to like learn about the program.
So you had to do some research then about them.
Yeah.
So what stood out when you started doing that about, hey, this is all right, this might be a place that I could fit in?
Yeah, when I went on a couple visits, the coaches were really nice. I really liked Coach Jory and just like the facilities and the girls, the energy was good, and overall just a good place.
The fact that they have a bunch of Minnesotans, Maya, was that a big deal or not so much?
Yeah, I felt like that was a little like more welcoming that they have like other girls from my state going there.
All right, so when you tell us when you made up your mind, was it just, what was the ceiling factor for you to say, okay, this is where I want to go?
Probably the first time I was getting offers, like they were kind of in that mix. Like after that with the Lakes, I got a couple offers, and then my gut was kind of telling me NDSU was the way to go, but I wanted to like check some things with other colleges. So it was a couple months later when I was like talking to my mom, like, Mom, well, they're like, as the coaches said, sometimes it fills up really fast. So I was like, I don't really know if I want to go anywhere else except NDSU because I've been there 3 times. They've called me a lot. I just felt like it was the right place to be.
What was Jory's reaction when you called him?
He was pretty excited when I called him. He was like, I'm pretty sure he got like jumping for air and stuff when I called him.
Was it relief off your shoulders, excitement, a little bit of both? What were the emotions to say, okay, because you're getting ready for your junior year of high school. There's still a lot of high school left to have this over and done with now.
Yeah, it was a big relief just knowing like I know where I'm going to go in my future and I can just have fun the next couple of years for AAU and high school.
We were watching some video, Maya, of you playing. Describe your game for people that haven't seen you play yet or are going to watch maybe this high school season. How would you describe you on the floor?
I think I'm more of a guard, like shooting guard. I can post up, but I'd rather sit like on the perimeter and just like help pass the ball to some of my other teammates and just like kind of be a role player, maybe a bit of a scorer, but more of like a shooter and a forward.
When you saw how the Bison played and their style, what appealed to you about that?
I think it's the like how they run the floor really fast and like they move the ball really well, so that it's like more team ball.
You play for Minnesota Rise, which is one of the best AAU teams. Just what is that like playing with a bunch of girls? You know they're going to play Division I like yourself. How much has that helped your game, made you better over this summer?
I think it's really challenged me. Like I know my high school team is really good, but some of the girls won't exactly challenge me. So I think when I go to my AAU practices, I know I'm going to get challenged and get better.
Did you get a chance to celebrate? Did you go out after you made this? Is that coming? What's been the reaction after you announced that you were coming to play Division I basketball?
Yeah, we kind of celebrated. We went to my uncle's cabin and we kind of like had a little party there, like barbecued and stuff. So it was really fun.
There you go. Couple last things before I let you go. Now, getting ready for the upcoming school year. I think people obviously knew about you on the court, but you're going to be maybe marked a little bit differently. All right, we definitely got to know where she is. How do you think you'll handle that for this upcoming year, the pressure that may come with that?
Probably have to get maybe other teammates open. Maybe they'll have more of a scoring night and maybe not so much like me focusing on scoring, maybe like other things like passing the ball really good or setting good screens.
Just now, to have this all over and done with, you mentioned the injuries you've gone through, just how much you just sit back like, boy, this has been a journey. And you're only getting ready, like I said, start your junior year to have this happen. Have you had a chance just to sit back and like, wow, this has been a lot in a short amount of time?
Yeah, I haven't really realized how much is going on, but I've also like kind of stepped back and said like, wow, like this is really happening. It's like I'm going D1 and I'm going to a really good program. So yeah.
What do you got? Is AAU done or you still got a couple weeks left?
No, AAU's over.
How is that? So you get to go everywhere. What's that like, especially to travel as much as you do?
Yeah, it's really fun with the team I have. Like, we're really good on and off the court. So when it's like comes down to business, we like take care of it, and also like we also have fun off the court.
Well, it's great to catch up. Congratulations on committing. Enjoy the rest of summer before school starts. Stay healthy, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Okay.
Appreciate it. Maya Kilian joining us from New Prague, Minnesota. She's a member of the Bison basketball class of 2027. She announced her commitment over the weekend. She joined South Prairie's Riley Rutledge, who announced back in May here on Hot Mic that she is committing to NDSU. So the Bison have 2 for 2027. And again, you may think, wow, that's way down the road. Again, in women's basketball, this is yesterday in this state, in North Dakota, 2 girls that are members of the class of 2029 were offered by South Dakota, I want to say. 1 girl from Bismarck, 1 girl from Century. That means, I'm not a great math mind, but those are incoming freshmen to high school have been offered scholarships. So if you think this is early, I'm here to tell you it's not. That we have 11, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds being offered scholarships on the women's side. And it's going younger. It's crazy, but that's where we're at right now. All right, we'll take our final break. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up and get you ready for a busy Sports Tuesday. Hot Mic, we'll wrap right after this. All right, wrapping things up here on this Tuesday morning. Again, tomorrow, opening day of Bison Fall Camp. Full coverage of that coming up. Looking forward to that. We'll get you ready on the show tomorrow. Now, before we go, sent a message from my wife as we were on the air interviewing Maya. The Jackman is in his second week of swim lessons over at Concordia. And big day today. Because I was asking, because he's doing awesome. He's so much far ahead of me, it's not even funny. In a lot of areas. Swimming is another one. And today, my wife just sent me the video. He went off the diving board today. That's like, when we're talking proud dad moments, like keep coming. There's another one today. And he killed it. It was great. Just little things, man. That's just fantastic. Way to go, Jack, man. I'll see him in a little bit. We are still getting niblets of college basketball scheduling. Last year, you remember, the Field of 68 opened up the basketball season at the Pentagon in Sioux Falls. They're going to do it again this year. They're going to split it up, actually. Have 3 games in Sioux Falls, 3 in Rock Hill, South Carolina. The games that are coming to the Pentagon this year all have a pretty cool local connection. Murray State and Omaha are going to play at 1:30 in Sioux Falls. Drake and Northern Arizona are going to play there. I don't know why it's cut off on the bottom, but you can't see that South Dakota State is going to play there as well against Merrimack at 9 o'clock at night. That'll be Brian Peterson's debut as head coach of the Jacks in Sioux Falls. But you got Hendo coming back with Drake. You got Crutchfield and Omaha coming with trash cans. I don't know if that is going to carry over with Murray State. That's some good games. That'll be opening up the season on November the 3rd. That's a Monday to open up the college basketball season. North Dakota State opens that same day. The Bison men are in Oregon to take on Oregon State. The Bison women, I believe, are in Cedar Falls to play Northern Iowa to open up the season. So we're starting to get a little bit more traction there. Still no conference schedules. I was asked about that when we were in Sioux Falls last week for Missouri Valley Media Day that, we got no Summit League schedules yet. I don't know what the holdup is there. Hopefully pretty soon on that. All right, let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. All right, it is a baseball-themed What to Watch brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Red Sox and Twins coming up, Game 2 tonight, 6:30 on Twins TV. We'll find out who the Twins are starting for the second game of this series tonight. How about some matinee baseball? Maybe better balls and strikes called in the Blue Jays and Orioles, 11:30 on MLB Network. And again, it's worth staying up tonight. Mets and Padres on MLB Network tonight, 8:30. That was a great game last night. Probably another one in store tonight. We got to roll. Thanks to our guests today, to Maya Kilian, to Grant Olson, and Mike McFeely. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Everybody, enjoy your Tuesday. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, KMBM, and Inforum.com.